All right, everyone. So welcome to this masterclass and healing session on released relationship anxiety. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Cassandra Michael. I'm an intuitive trauma healer and relationship coach. And I'm really passionate about helping people reconnect with themselves, create a better relationship with themselves so that they can have better relationships with others. I truly believe that we're here to give and receive love. And I know that for a lot of us, maybe we've been through challenging situations in the past. We did not grow up in a happy family environment. And maybe we have certain traumas or limiting beliefs that are really getting in the way from us having the nurturing and reciprocal relationships that we desire. And so I'm really, really passionate about helping my clients break free from these unhealthy relationship patterns, heal attachment wounds, heal traumas, and really come back to a place of confidence and self-worth so that they can radiate this beautiful, confident light and also have the relationships that they desire. And so maybe you have heard that, okay, when something bad is happening, when we're stuck in a pattern, we always have a choice. So maybe you've been chatting with a friend and your friend tells you, stop complaining, just do something about it. You have a choice. The thing is, we don't always have a choice, especially if we're governed by our limiting beliefs and our traumas. If we're stuck in a relationship that's unhealthy, if maybe we're navigating a scenario that's not ideal, sometimes we don't even see that we have a choice to do things differently. And so that is what healing provides. And if you decide to embark on this journey, or maybe you've already started on this inner journey, you'll see that the more you do the work, the more you have freedom and choice. And that's another one of my main values is freedom. So I believe when we start to do this work, we create more freedom for ourselves and we can make choices that are best for us and our well-being. Okay. And so, yeah, let me know in the chat, are you ready to learn some new tools to release relationship anxiety? Just type a yes in the chat if you're ready and excited to learn something new. Yeah. Let me see some yeses in the chat. Okay, this is going to be a very interactive workshop. We're going to have a lot of, practical exercises, embodiment exercise. I'm going to be asking you things in the chat. And are you ready to maybe create a new awareness around your relationship patterns? Okay. Good, amazing. And do you have a notebook ready, or maybe you just pull up a Word document? I'm going to be sharing some slides and then other times not. So maybe you want to just take some notes. So if you have any aha moments or things that you really want to take with you after this workshop. Okay. And so before we begin, I want to tell you a little bit about, what makes my approach different. So I really love combining body, mind, and soul. So I have my academic and scientific background, but then I really combine that with spirituality, with mysticism, just with other techniques that I found to be really, really effective during my personal development journey. And I've basically pulled the main modalities that have really helped me and my clients and created a framework that I find to work best, and a framework that is holistic. So if you're looking to make concrete change and really, release yourself from this anxiety, for example, or make different choices, just doing talk therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy, that's not enough because you're not addressing the root cause. And the root cause is usually our trauma. And I'm going to be speaking a lot today about attachment trauma. So maybe some of you here have heard of attachment styles. Who here knows of attachment styles, and you can let me know in the chat where you think you're more leaning towards, maybe anxious or avoidant or disorganized. And if you don't know about this, no worries. I'm going to be speaking about it soon. So yeah, just gonna share my screen again. I'm going to be alternating a bit. Yeah. And so I really like looking at the root cause. I really like to go deep and take my clients through a process where I enable them to really feel what's going on under the surface so that they can shift the, let's say, the trauma that's actually creating the disruptive pattern in the first place. Yeah. And you're going to be able to sample some of my, let's say, techniques and exercises today. And yeah, we are going to begin. Let's see. So I want you to tell me, how does relationship anxiety manifest for you? What are some of the ways that it appears in your life? And why are you here? Like, so what would you really like to release? When you think of relationship anxiety, yeah, how does it manifest for you? And so these are some ways that relationship anxiety can look like: doubting that the other person cares about you or loves you, fearful of them leaving or cheating. Maybe you're afraid that you'll never find love or a partner. Maybe there's jealousy and you're constantly checking your partner's phone. Maybe there's this high sensitivity in sudden shifts of mood and energy. Maybe you're afraid of getting hurt or afraid of commitment. Yeah. There could even be social anxiety when you're meeting new people, or maybe when you're dating, you're constantly thinking about your partner or your new love interest, or checking your phone, checking their social accounts, right? It can manifest in a lot of different ways. And so I put together here my interpretation, or sort of the framework that I work by and what I believe is needed for healing. So as you can see here at the top, we've got our triggers and the anxiety that we might be feeling. So whatever I mentioned before, the reason why you're here in this masterclass, that's the top of the iceberg. It's what you're aware of, right? You're like, I have these obsessive thoughts. I can't relax in my relationships. I sometimes, feel like I'm controlling or needy. All of the things that you're aware of are at the tip. And for me, that has a lot to do with the inability to relax in the void. So you might be wondering what that is, and I'm going to tell you shortly. And so you have all this anxiety that's manifesting, and then you have things that amplify the anxiety. So you're already experiencing something, and then if you go one level down, what tends to amplify the anxiety is shame, self-judgment, disconnection from self, and even fragmentation from self. So I'll be speaking about all of these things more shortly. And so just to give you an example, assuming you're already feeling anxious and then you start judging yourself about feeling anxious, what is that going to do? It's going to make this even more intense and stronger, right? The emotional response. And I'm going to be speaking about fragmentation of self and a few other things that maybe you haven't heard about before. And then if we go one level deeper, the root of this anxiety that you're experiencing has to do with trauma, with attachment wounds, limiting beliefs, and conditioning, right? And as I said in the beginning, these are the elements that I really look at with my clients, because I think it's so important to get to the root cause of things. Otherwise, you're not going to get or experience the concrete change that you want. So I love this meme. Maybe you've seen me use it before. Who identifies with this? Who's like, I can really feel this guy? Just let me know in the chat if you're like me. I really feel this. Okay. And what's going on for this guy here? So one way to see this is he's not able to relax in the void. What does that really mean? What is the void? So the void is essentially the in-between. Will he or she ask me out? Do they want a relationship with me? Will they leave me? Did I disappoint them? Will I lose my job? It's the unknown. And the reason why we engage in these behaviors of like obsessive thinking or controlling or checking, social media accounts constantly, it's because we want to get out of the unknown, and we want to create some certainty in our lives. Like we think that if we have some certainty, our brain is going to calm down. And that happens momentarily, right? So if we receive that message and we're like, oh, okay, they're not going to leave me. They still want me. I'm still lovable, right? And that creates a signal to the brain. So momentarily you're going to calm down, but then you're just going to continue to repeat the cycles because this is just a band-aid. It's a quick fix, right? And so the more we practice and we strengthen, let's say, this discomfort tolerance muscle, as I call it, the more we're able to just be in that in between, the easier it's going to be to navigate relationships in a more relaxed way. Okay, so just drop a 1 in the chat if this resonates. Yeah. Okay, amazing. And so how to relax in the void? So one, and maybe one of the most important, is regulate your nervous system. When we're in that in-between state where we're not able to be in the void, we're looking outside of ourselves to get certain information and evidence in order to come back to a place of regulation, right? So I'm outsourcing the regulation of my nervous system when I'm doing that, right? I'm saying, if you respond to my message, I'm going to feel better. And that's a slippery slope, because often maybe we don't get a response. Maybe that, person is busy. We have to learn to come back to ourselves and learn how to regulate our nervous systems by ourselves, right? Without outsourcing our power. By doing so, we start strengthening our discomfort tolerance muscle. And the more you do it, the more you're like, hold on, I'm going to refrain from, calling them 5 times. And instead, I'm going to sit with the discomfort and I'm going to start processing it. You become better at doing so. A couple of years ago, I also did a research project as part of my master's in science. And I researched the topic of fear of the unknown. And essentially that's what the void is fear of the unknown. And what I found is that when we connect with our hearts, when we connect with the concept of love and hope and authenticity, then this fear dissipates. So another thing that's really good is to connect to your heart, to open your heart. And also, by practicing these things, you start to cultivate resilience and confidence, and you start to trust yourself more. So just reflecting now, how can you start to relax in the void more? Where are certain situations, like what comes up where you need answers immediately? And see if you can just be in that feeling instead of acting to try and get the answers straight away. Okay, so we're going to do a little exercise, and this is called a pendulation technique. And this is something that you can use by yourself to start regulating your nervous system and start feeling just safer in your body. Yeah. So I would like you now to just close your eyes and just get comfortable in your seat. And take a deep inhale from the nose and exhale through the mouth with a sigh. Inhale and exhale. One last time, just inhaling and exhaling. And you can go back to just breathing normally. And I want you now to slowly scan your body. We're going to start from the crown of the head. And I want you to just feel what the crown of your head feels like. And with your awareness, slowly start going down to the third eye. So that's the point between the eyebrows. Lower with your awareness, feeling your throat. How does your throat feel today? Your shoulders, your arms, your hands. Just going lower to the solar plexus. That's the area of the stomach. To the pelvic area. To your thighs, your knees, your calves, and your feet. And as you scan your body and you're in your body right now, go to a place that feels tense. Where are you holding a lot of tension? It could be in the chest, in the stomach, somewhere else. Just focus on that tense area and get intimate with that part of you that feels tense. And now I'd like you to go to a place in your body that feels really calm and grounded. Maybe your hands or your feet. Just shift your awareness to another spot that feels calm and safe and grounded. And really anchor into that sensation. Realizing that you do have a place in the body that's calm and safe and grounded. And that feeling is accessible to you. And now go back to the tense area, almost bringing the sense of groundedness and calmness from the previous area. Bring it up or down, wherever it is, to the tense area. And focus on the tense area again. Just noticing. Is it different? Has something shifted? Now go back again to the calm area. Focus on the calm area, how it feels in your body. Now taking all that calmness and groundedness and go back to the tense area. Noticing if anything has shifted. And now one last time, go to the calm area. Really seeing, has it become even more calm and safe and grounded? And one last time, bringing all of that energy to the space that is tense. And connecting again with that tense area, giving it some love, and noticing if anything has changed, if anything has shifted. Okay, and take a deep inhale from the nose and exhale through the mouth with a sigh. Ah, okay. And you can slowly come back and open your eyes. Let me know, how was that for you? Did you experience a shift in the tense area? Did it change at all? Joy felt gratitude for her body. Did the tense area become less tense? Just pop a yes in the chat if if that was your experience. Yeah, amazing. And so often what happens is that we're caught up in this feeling, this trigger response of like, oh my God, I'm so anxious. I'm an anxious person. I can't handle my anxiety, right? And we forget that there are actually parts within us that are calm and grounded, right? And this is also called resourcing. We have internal resources. So instead of reaching out to that lover, to that partner, calling them 500 times so that you can calm down, remember that you have resources within you to come back to baseline. Yeah. And the more you practice this, so this is called the pendulation technique. It's by Peter Levine and a modality called somatic experiencing. You can just practice this at home. And this is something that really helps you cultivate these resources within and start to, regulate your nervous system. Yeah. Is it clear for everyone? It's quite simple, right? To practice it by yourself. And also what we did before was a very quick body scan. You can do a longer body scan as well. It's such a simple technique and I love it. I always give it to my clients because it really helps us reconnect with the body. Because as I'm going to be discussing shortly, what happens with trauma and essentially when we're experiencing anxiety, it's a trauma response. We disconnect from ourselves, right? We're no longer in our bodies. Because if we're in this fight or flight response, if we're very anxious, it's not a safe space, right? So most of the time we're not here. We've dissociated, we've checked out. And so coming back into our bodies is going to create the connection again, because trauma creates a disconnection, right? So this is just like the practice of connecting with your body and doing the body scan, that in itself is already healing. And then with the pendulation technique, you're reminding yourself that you do have these safe resources within you. Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So, sorry. And so continuing, I want to just say that at the core of relationship anxiety is fear of abandonment and rejection. Why are we anxious? Why do we have these thoughts of like, do they love me? Are they going to leave me? Will they call me? Are they going to hurt me? Whatever obsessive thoughts you're having, it's because deep down, you're afraid of rejection and abandonment, right? And I like to visualize this anxiety like a little child knocking on the door and saying, hey, I'm here, give me attention, don't leave me alone, I'm feeling, abandoned, I'm feeling lonely, look at me, I'm here, right? This anxiety is almost like this little kid just knocking on the door saying, hey, I want some attention, I'm afraid. Yeah, and that's your inner child. And so starting to shift, let's say, your awareness a little bit and seeing it from maybe this lens, and this will allow you to extend more compassion to yourself. And I believe one of the roots, like we're going to really go deep down, the roots of relationship anxiety are attachment wounds. And so we have anxious or avoidant attachment. You said a lot of you are already familiar with attachment styles. And attachment styles essentially have to do with the bonds that we created with our caregivers growing up, right? And it has to do with how involved, attuned, or consistent they were. Because when our needs were not met growing up, then we tend to, let's say, form insecure attachment styles. And I'm going to do a little experiential exercise right now. So now that you're in your bodies after this exercise, I'm going to be overstimulating, and I want you to just notice how you feel in your body. Okay, so I'm going to move closer. I'm like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? How are you? Oh, I love you so much. Hey, come here. As I did this, did you feel something? Did you maybe move back? Were you like, whoo, did you notice something in your body? Let me know in the chat how that felt. Hmm? Or if you want, feel free to unmute yourselves. Like, what was your visceral, like your, how did your body respond to that?
I felt it was funny.
Mm-hmm. Joy is a bit too much. I feel being attended to. Uncomfortable, smothering. Aria says yes. Yeah, so some people might like actually feel good with this, and others might feel a bit like, oh, it's too much. I know when I first when somebody else did this for me, I was like, whoa, I really felt my body just going back. And yeah, Dee says I felt jittery and uncomfortable. Yeah, interesting. Nice. And so what's quite common is that if you grew up in a family environment where your parents were very smothering, they were on top of you all the time, they were micromanaging you, maybe they were quite strict, they were overstepping your boundaries, like always meddling in your life, and always like on top of you as a baby, but not in a healthy way, that could create avoidant attachment. So avoidant is more like, oh, avoidant, I need my space. This is too much for me. And so people with avoidant tendencies, they have this belief that love is going to take away their freedom, right? So for those of you who felt that uncomfortable when I did this, your body was tensing up, right? That maybe this experience allows you to create some more awareness and compassion around how the avoidant tendencies get formed, right? And if you identify with avoidant tendencies, there's nothing wrong with you. This is just a response of, like a response or coping mechanism, basically, for when you were growing up. Okay. And let's do another one. So I want you to like reach out your hands, like I'm going to give you something and I want you to do this, like you're ready to receive whatever it is I'm giving you. Okay. And I've got this control here. So I'm going to be doing this, reach out your hands. It's important that you actually have your hands out because this is going to create a response in the brain. Okay. Have your hands out and I'm giving you the control, giving it to you, and you're taking the control. Just take it and then bring it back to you. And you're like, okay, I got the thing. I got my needs met. This feels good. I got the control. Okay. And now I want you to do it again. Reach out. Again, I want you to actually do the movement, even though we're on Zoom. Yeah. And I have the control here. And I want you to reach out even further. Reach out beyond yourself, beyond the boundaries of yourself. And reach a little further. And the control is like going further and further away. And I want you to reach more, reach beyond yourself. And I'm, just leaving completely. And you're reaching for me, but I'm no longer here. I didn't have a lot of space to do that in this room. But did that feel a bit different? How did you experience that? Was there some anxiety that's like, give me the thing? Why are you leaving? Why are you not giving me? You gave it to me before. Why can't you give it to me now? And especially the act of reaching outside of yourself, right? Like here, maybe feels safe. I'm reaching here, but then I'm reaching even further. And there's something in my body that's just like, oh, it feels a bit, sad. Sad and disappointed, foolish. Felt sad. Yeah. Interesting, right? And so this is the experience, the felt experience of anxious attachment, whereby our caregivers were not consistent. The one moment they gave us what we needed, so in this case, it was the control. I gave you the control. And then the next moment, I didn't. I wasn't there. I wasn't able to give it to you. And I left. Yeah. And so this inconsistent, let's say, approach, inconsistent caregivers is what will create more anxious tendencies. And that being said, this is all a spectrum. So even if you identify more with anxious attachment, maybe sometimes there's avoidance coming up for you as well, because it's two sides of the same coin. But I do believe we have some dominant tendencies. And the good news is that we can heal these tendencies. We can heal these wounds, right? Because there's something inside of us. So you see, when you were reaching for this, it's similar to what creates relationship anxiety for you. It's like, give me that thing. If I want to know that I'm going to have that thing. Otherwise, it's very stress inducing, right? And this was for just a simple exercise, right? We use it as like with the control. So imagine if you're dating someone and you start to create this like emotional connection and they start to withdraw, that's going to create a lot of discomfort. And so one reason that I chose to do this exercise and explain it in this way is so that you can release the shame around the ways in which you might behave in relationships. And just realize that this is a coping mechanism. If you did not get your needs met growing up, or your parents were maybe smothering and didn't respect your boundaries, or however it was that you grew up, maybe in an abusive environment, just realizing that this response, the relationship anxiety that you might be feeling, is a symptom, a coping mechanism from that. So hopefully this allows you to extend some more compassion to yourself, because compassion, self-compassion, is the foundation of the healing work you're going to do. It doesn't matter what type of healing work you're doing. If there's a lack of self-compassion, it's going to be really, really hard to proceed. Yeah. Okay. And so there's this question that a lot of my clients ask me, and it's a really interesting one. And the question is this person not good for me, or is it my anxious attachment? So have you ever been out on a date and you get really anxious and you're like, is this just me or is it them? Is it my trauma speaking? Or are they just like not good for me? Like, how can I tell the difference between, if it's a trauma response, if it's in my head, is it my intuition? What's going on, right? Okay, I'm sure you guys have had this question. So I'm not going to ask it just yet. I'm planting the seed. I'm going to answer this question during the Q&As. So please stay until the end, because I have some surprises for you. And we're going to talk about this question, which is really, really interesting. And you're going to have the opportunity to ask your own questions. All right. And so as we saw before in the pyramid that I showed you, another thing that amplifies relationship anxiety is a disconnection from self and a fragmentation of self. Okay. Have any of you heard the term that we have different parts within us? Or maybe you've heard of parts work or internal family systems? Okay. Who's heard of parts work? Just drop a 1 if you've heard of parts work, or the idea that we have different parts within us. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I really love, give me 1 sec. I really love this concept that we have different parts within us and we are not that one part. What do I mean? Let's say, for example, I go on a date and I really like the guy, and there's a part within me, a voice that's saying, oh, but is he right for you? Maybe, you saw this red flag and that red flag, and you should think twice about going out with him again. Right. I have this voice inside that's trying to maybe stop me from going on a second date. I don't know if anyone can resonate with that. Right? Or maybe there's a voice inside of me saying, I need to go on a second date with this person. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I need to, I must see them again. Right? And then maybe you have that voice come up and there's another voice saying, but no, he might be bad for you. Or have you felt like this, that you've got multiple voices in your mind at the same time? Or maybe on the one hand, you're feeling quite anxious, and then there's a part within you that knows that everything's going to be all right, right? Like these conflicting parts. Drop a 2 in the chat if you have experienced this before. Yeah. And maybe there's also parts of you that desire different things. You're like, oh, I want to go and travel the world and have all of my freedom. But actually, I also want to settle down and have a family. And then you're like, but I want both of these things. And then we get confused, right? And what happens then is our sense of self becomes split. There's a split that happens, and this split creates anxiety, right? So when we start doing work to reintegrate the different parts of self, then we can come back to a place of groundedness and wholeness and centeredness, right? And this has a lot to do as well with getting clear on our values and who we are and what we truly want in life. And that's why a big part of my program on healing anxious attachment is reconnecting with self and really coming back to who we are, right? Because if we don't know who we are and we're just following like expectations of society, what our parents want from us, what we think we want, right? There's this disconnect from who we really are and what we truly want. So that's one part of it, that this is like this incongruence that creates a lot of anxiety. And so one way to approach this is really getting clear on who you are, what your values are, what you want in life, get to know you and make decisions from that place, as opposed to making decisions based on conditioning and what society wants or what your parents want. And then number 2 is starting to notice these different parts within you. We're going to do a little exercise now. So before we close our eyes, I want you to pick a behavior that creates some shame for you. Is there something that you do? Maybe there's a pattern, a behavior, maybe the fact that, you experience anxiety a lot. Is there a part of you that creates some shame that you're not proud of, that you just want it to be gone? Maybe it's a part of you that micromanages, that's controlling, that's worried all the time, that thinks about money all the time, that worries that you'll always be alone and never find love. So is there a part within you that you don't really love? And you're like, I wish this part would be gone. Okay, so Henry says, a part of me that comes across as needy. Anyone else can you let me know in the chat? Loneliness. And it would be great if you could even identify with how this part even sounds, but we'll go into that in the visualization as well. Yeah, so loneliness, what does that part say? Is it like you're going to be all alone? Clingy, saying no to someone, disappointing them, or honoring my needs? Okay, so Lindsay has a part within her that has a difficulty trusting herself and trusting her instincts. Okay. All right, so I want you guys to just think of that part, and maybe another part pops up as we're doing the exercise. It's all okay. And I want you now to just close your eyes. Again, take a deep inhale from the nose and exhale through the mouth. And I want you to just bring that part to mind. The clingy part, the one that's afraid of being alone, whichever part you feel like you're a bit ashamed of, that you want to get rid of. And try and think of that behavior. So think of you, for example, being clingy in a relationship or really feeling lonely. Try and, visualize that and see where it sits in your body when you're connecting to that behavior, to that part. And don't just release the logical mind And say, okay, if it's loneliness, where does it live in my body? Maybe the heart. If it's this clinginess, where is this clinginess? Is it in my solar plexus? So just ask yourself, close your eyes and say, where do you live in my body? You literally can say silently or out loud, clinginess, loneliness, where do you live in my body? And see if you get an intuitive nudge or a feeling or a tension. See if you can identify where this part lives within you. And if you don't feel anything, that's also okay. It could even be connected to numbness. And now try and just think of a scenario where you're really experiencing the thing that you're ashamed of. Maybe it's an actual scenario that happened, maybe it's a fictional scenario. And that should help to bring the emotions up even stronger in your body. And as you connect with that sensation in the body, or if there's no sensation, that's also okay. I want you to visualize this part of you that it's starting to take form. Maybe it looks like a person, an animal, an object. Give it a shape, a form. Right? Just let your mind go, and whatever comes up, just go with the first thing that comes up, even if it's weird. And so connecting with that part of you, allowing it, say, may you show yourself now. I want to see you. And let it reveal itself in any way it wants to. A person, an animal, a shape, an object, maybe it's just a color. And I want you to just look at that part and realize that it's not you. It's a part of you, but it's not who you are. And I want you to just connect with that part and ask it, why are you here? Get curious. Ask, what do you need from me? Say, are you trying to protect me in some way? Just really trying to see why the part is there, getting to know it like you're getting to know a friend. And maybe you can start renegotiating the relationship. So if it's anxiety, clinginess, loneliness, tell the part that you don't need it in this way any longer. You've got other tools. Yeah. Imagine that you're sort of severing this relationship. You're still going to stay friends, but in a different way. So really thank the part for trying to help you and protect you, because that is normally the intention. Yeah, just thank it for being there, for trying its best to keep you safe and calm and protected. And say, I no longer need you in this way. Yeah. And now you can just see that part. And I want you to become one with it. You can take that part and put it into your heart space. You can reintegrate it into your body, into your heart. Knowing that it's still there if you need it, but now you get to decide. It's no longer governing you. You've made a different deal. You've thanked it for supporting you. And now, yeah, you can call upon it in a different way. Okay. And so when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I know that was quite a quick little taster of Part's work. I'm curious, were you able to visualize the part? Did it take a certain form? Or did it stay abstract? And bear in mind, this was really fast. If we're doing it in a group setting or one-to-one, we take more time to just drop into a meditation. Okay, for Mona, it was a ghost form. Ah, Henry, beautiful. The needy part of me took the form of a childhood teddy bear. Love that. Michelle made it a black dot. Okay. And Michelle, for you, since it was a black dot, were you able to talk to it? Did that work for you? To like have a conversation? Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, ball of anxiety for Pierre. And so did anything shift within you as you started to see this part of you as separate in a way? Did anything shift? Did you have any realizations? Again, really short exercise, but was there anything that you're like, this sort of came up? I see things differently now. So just let me know in the chat if anything shifted by connecting to this heart. It took many forms and shapes. Loneliness was showing me the journey home to myself. It became calmer as it went on. Okay. So I just wonder, the practice of visualizing the part as separate, connecting with it, having a conversation, did it shift anything within you in the way you see that part of you? D, I watched it walk away. It was sad, but waved as it left. Yeah. So why this can be so powerful is because we realize, let's say, for example, we take anxiety, and this is the thing that we're not proud of. You are not your anxiety. It's a part of you that's trying to keep you safe. It's a part of you that has basically, created this coping mechanism, adaptive strategy. Yeah, so Michelle says I was able to separate it from the whole. Yeah, the whole being you, right? Yeah, exactly. And then we realize I'm not my anxiety. I'm not my loneliness, right? It's just a part of me that is sometimes there. And usually that part is there to protect us. Yeah, so Dee says, I was actually able to realize that desperation was trying to keep me safe from abandonment. I saw it as a menace before. Amazing. That is incredible. And see, we just did it for 10 minutes. How powerful was that? And you're like, I see that it was there to try and help me. And this is also part of the unshaming process. And a lot of what I teach in my programs and my one-to-ones is about releasing the shame and seeing the intelligence behind your coping mechanisms, behind certain adaptive behaviors that you have. Because even your anxiety, your feelings of loneliness, your clinginess, for example, your clinginess is like trying to keep you in connection with someone. It's trying to help you steer away from rejection and abandonment, right? And so just starting that mindset shift and realizing that that there's an intelligence. So when you engage in something that you're not proud of, ask yourself, why is that happening? How is it trying to protect me? How is it trying to help me? And you can have a little conversation like we did together with that part of you, right? And you create distance, you renegotiate the terms, and then you can reintegrate it back into you if you want. You can even see it transforming as you reintegrate it back into your heart. Yeah, good. All right. And so there's another thing that, as I mentioned before, with the amplifiers of anxiety, right? I spoke about shame and about disconnection. And on the one hand, we have the disconnection from self, but then we also have like the disconnection from others, from the world. We feel that maybe we're alone in our suffering, right? And that just acts to augment the anxiety that we're feeling or the pain that we're feeling. And so that's why I love having group programs, group containers, because in these group programs, you realize that you're not alone, right? That there are other people experiencing similar things. And yeah, you're just not alone in your suffering. And so I'm going to do a little game now, and I encourage you to all interact in the chat. So yeah, just drop a yes in the chat if you're still here with me, if you're hearing me, if you're ready to play the game. So just open the chat box. And so I'm going to be making some statements. And these statements might be a bit vulnerable. They might be a bit edgy. But I really encourage you to just state whether or not, you've thought these thoughts, maybe you've engaged in these actions. I'm going to be saying different things, and I want you to reaffirm in the chat if this is something that you've experienced or felt. And it might feel a bit edgy, it might feel a bit vulnerable, but please, I encourage you to do so. The chat remains 100% confidential. No one is going to see anything in the chat. And so, okay, let's begin. I'm just going to share my screen. One moment. Give me one sec. Okay. So, who over here has thought, I really want a relationship, but it's just not happening for me? Is there something wrong with me? I can confirm I've thought this. So you can put the one in the chat. So each question, each statement will have a number. So just step forward and say, yeah, I've felt this and it doesn't feel great. Okay. Oops, sorry. Great. Number two, I often feel like I'm not capable of having a healthy relationship. I didn't have any examples growing up. Yes, for me. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Sorry. Number three, I have stayed in unhealthy relationships because I was afraid of being alone. Does this ring true for you? I know I have. Yeah, just drop a 3 in the chat if this is something that you've done, and just seeing that there are other people here with us in the room that have been through similar. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. I have cheated on someone or been cheated on. Yeah. So just drop a 4 in the chat if this is something that you've experienced. Yeah. I sometimes think that my partner doesn't truly love me and is only staying with me out of convenience. Or if it's not out of convenience, maybe you've put another reason. And this can apply to current relationship, past relationship. Have you doubted your partner's love? Yeah. I definitely have. Even when there was no reason to. Yeah. So just drop a 5 in the chat. And I'm reminding you that everything here is confidential. The chat is confidential. Okay, amazing. I'm not proud of it, but I have checked my partner's phone. So maybe something was happening. You felt insecure. You felt like the relationship wasn't going well. And yeah, you looked at their phone to sort of ease that anxiety. I have once. Yeah, beautiful. Social media accounts too. What about this one? I really like the guy or girl that I'm dating, but I'm just so scared of getting hurt. Right? It's like, yeah, they seem great, but I think I'm gonna leave because, yeah, I don't want to get hurt. Scared of rejection. Yeah. Number 8, why is my partner or friend so distant and quiet? Did I do something wrong? Are they going to leave me? So have you ever been maybe dating someone, or maybe it's even with a friend, and you just sense the shift in mood and energy, and then you're like, oh, what did I do? They're leaving. I did something wrong. Oh my God. And you're just like so highly attuned to everything around you. And then you're engulfed in this anxiety and you think it's about you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And 9, I don't really believe that my partner or friends love me. I will see their true intentions soon enough. Yeah. Just really not trusting other people's love. Being like a bit doubtful, like, yeah, I mean, they seem like they love me or they seem like good friends, good partners, but something's probably off. Right? Really distrusting their intentions. Yeah. And finally, I have continuously called or texted my partner or friend until they gave me an answer. I really feel ashamed and needy when I act like this. So yeah, maybe they didn't reach out, maybe they didn't respond, and you called many times, you texted many times, and like, I really need you to respond right now so that I can feel better. Yes, definitely. I have done this in the past. Yeah, good. And so, how did that feel to just, yeah, vulnerably state that, yeah, this is something I experience. This applies for me as well. And seeing that other people in the room have a similar experience. Yeah, Joyce says, interesting to see that this applies to so many others. Yeah, so just having the vulnerability to say that this is, yeah, this is what I've done, this is how I feel, and noticing that you're not alone in this. And this in itself is really, really healing. And that's why I love these group containers or even these live group calls. Okay, so you're not alone in this, and may this realization help in releasing shame that you might have around your behaviors, around your patterns. Okay, so that was one of my intentions of this exercise. Okay, so I just want to do a quick recap. Give me one moment. Okay. Putting me out there is helping me express and release. Yes, exactly. And I really like that comment because actually another thing that perpetuates pain and suffering is that we suppress it, we hide it. We're like, what I'm doing is shameful, what I'm doing is not, good enough. I shouldn't be acting this way. We suppress it, and that just amplifies it, right? And for healing to take place, the pain, our wound, our suffering needs to be witnessed. That's why we can do a lot of healing by ourselves, but it becomes incredibly hard to do healing like that when we're working on our deeper traumas and wounds, right? Because having a practitioner or being in a group setting where our pain can be witnessed, that is what helps it to transform. Because a main reason that this wound got created was because we didn't feel seen or heard, right? We felt like we were alone. We felt like there was something wrong with us. But through the witnessing of our pain, that experience starts to shift. Does that make sense? Yeah. Good. And so let me just share here. Just a quick recap so we spoke a lot about the amplifiers of relationship anxiety and spoken a lot about shame. And so how can you dissipate shame? How can you allow it to, how can you release it? By sharing. So you can do this with friends as well, and just, show that part of you and say like, hey, I did this and I feel quite ashamed. And especially if you have a friend that's safe, that that you can express this side to, that can be really liberating. Or joining a program. For example, I've got my Healing Anxious Attachment program coming up soon. Joining a women or men's circle, just a place where you can express this part of you and be held in it. That's going to be really healing. Number 2, finding the intelligence. So this behavior, this coping mechanism is there for a reason. Why is it there? Okay. Doing the parts work like we did together. Speak with that part. Realize that it's there to protect you. Become friends with it. Right? That's going to help release the shame. Another thing that amplifies relationship anxiety is this fragmented self. Different parts of you fighting each other. So again, parts work here is good for that. Another thing that amplifies relationship anxiety is disconnection from the body in the present moment. Okay? So you're unable to be in the void, as we discussed before. Pendulation is one technique. In my program in Healing Anxious Attachment, I go through many different tools that help you come back into the body and self-regulate. But this is just one example and something simple that you can use at home. And then there's self-criticism and self-judgment. So if you're judging yourself for having the experience, that is just going to increase what you're experiencing, right? So if you're judging yourself for being anxious, that's just going to create more anxiety. So here's starting to infuse some self-compassion in the things that you do. So yeah, did you have any breakthroughs? Was there anything that really stood out for you? Just put it in the chat so that you can remember it as well, and you can take it with you as you move forward. Maybe something that you want to use. And tell me in the chat, was this time well spent? Did you enjoy what we covered today? And just hang on the line. We're not done yet. We're going to go into a Q&A. I'm first going to be talking about some things, about some of my offerings, and then we're going to be moving into the Q&A. So just let me know if you enjoyed it, if it was time well spent. Yeah, Carius is more aware of why I have anxiety. Yeah, amazing. Because many express the same behaviors, does that mean we are normal? I love that question. What is normal? Really? Like, who defined the term normal, and who gets to decide what normal is? And honestly, I don't even want to be normal. I'm a weirdo, and I've got this like witchy mystical side to me that if you work with me, you'll see it. And I love that. And that's not normal. And often I think it's our, weirdness that should be celebrated. Yeah. And yes, I think it does mean we're normal, because we're all in this human experience together. And part of the human experience is sometimes struggling, is sometimes being, anxious, sometimes feeling that we're not good enough. This is part of the human experience. So yes, it's very, very normal. And so I have some things to share with you, and then we're going to go into a Q&A. So as some of you may already know, I've got my signature program, which is Healing Anxious Attachment, and we're starting again in April. So this is my 3-month signature program, and we cover 3 modules. Let's say 3 pillars. We will reconnect with self. And this is all about coming back to the body, regulating the nervous system, realizing who we are, what our needs are, what we want in life. So you're going to be getting, if you like the tools that I taught you here, you're going to be getting times 10 in this program. Then we're going to go on to be doing the deep healing work. So healing the inner child, healing our rejection and abandonment wounds, healing our mother and father wounds, right? And then number 3, we're going to be looking at the rebirth. And that's all about stepping into a more confident sense of self, becoming more authentic, more vulnerable. And so in this program, I've included the best modalities that I've found the past 10 years on my own personal development, but also with clients. And I'm also following an incredible course called Somatic Attachment Therapy. So I'm going to be adding more things from that certification as well. And we're starting April 6th. And if you're interested, please book a call now with me. I'll be dropping the link soon in the chat. And yeah, there's so many things included. You get 9 90-minute group healing and coaching calls, weekly recorded lectures, workbooks, meditations, tools. We're going to have a WhatsApp group for extra support throughout in between the sessions. And there's going to be a lot of bonuses. So I've worked with incredible healers from other modalities that are doing guest workshops around, let's say, from dysregulation to connection by using the breath. There's going to be a talk by a leadership coach called Yota on essential tools for building confidence. There's just going to be a lot of value. And the normal price is $2,100, but now especially for those of you attending this masterclass, you can get the super early bird price, which is $1,500. And how can you secure this price? If you book a call with me now. So for those watching the replay, this applies for you too. This is valid for 72 hours. But for those of you that are live, I'm going to drop the scheduling link in the chat. And I want you to just book a call with me. There's no strings attached. If you like my teachings, if you feel like you want to go into healing your anxious attachment wounds, this program is for you. And you can book a call, we can evaluate if it's a good fit for you, and you can get the $600 off. There's no strings attached for booking the call. And if we see that it's a good fit, we'll proceed with the enrollment on the call. And I have something very, very exciting to announce. I'm also going to be hosting a retreat in Bali in August, and you can purchase the VIP retreat package. So if you're interested, you can do the healing anxious attachment. And then the retreat the topic is metamorphosis, and it's a continuation of the 3rd pillar of my program. You can also just do the retreat if you want. Okay, but I have a discounted VIP package, which includes a 3-month program plus a retreat in Bali. And I'm really excited to tell you more about that when we hop on the call. It's going to be all about authenticity. So peeling off the layers so that we can step into our full authentic expression. Yeah, doing a lot of shadow work, removing the layers of conditioning, and really reconnecting with who we are, with our power, with our true essence. And we're going to be doing this in beautiful Bali. This place has just been so healing for me. It's where I had my second spiritual awakening, and I'm just so excited to bring people here to experience the magic of this land, because it is just, it's special. You have to, for those of you that have not been here, there's just something about this land that is just so healing. And I'm very excited to be, hosting a retreat here in August. Like I said, you can also just attend the retreat. You don't have to do the 3-month program, but there's a really nice discounted option, and the retreat acts as a continuation of the Healing Anxious Attachment. And finally,
So
I just want to show you this. I want to show to you, not as a sales pitch, but often I get people telling me, I don't believe that I can heal. I don't believe that it's possible for me. So even if you don't sign up for the program, even if, you just take a couple of exercises today and you continue to do this by yourself, I want you to watch this. It's 1 minute, this video. It's from a past participant of Healing Anxious Attachment. I want you to see that it's possible. And I want you to have that evidence that healing is also available for you, regardless or not if you choose to embark on the journey with me.
So I've seen huge improvement in terms of my anxiety level. It dropped significantly over time. Maybe I'd say about 80% even. I've developed a huge sense of self-compassion that was not present before, and that I never thought I could achieve. Self-compassion and self-acceptance, and just another big revelation, so to say, after the 100 program, was the fact that I'm not alone. So after completing the course, I feel much calmer. I feel confident for the first time in my life, I should say. Like, I thought I was confident before, but that was not confidence. This is confidence. I feel more secure. I feel enough. I feel powerful. I feel, it was a huge shift. It was a huge shift. I feel like there's nothing out here that I cannot tackle.
Yeah. And so this is also accessible for you too. Healing is possible for you too. And you can shift your anxious attachment tendencies. You can come to a more secure style of relating. And this is what my program is all about. And so I'm going to be popping the link in the chat. So just book a call with me. We can evaluate if it's a good fit for you. I can tell you more about it. And I really, really look forward to welcoming all of the new participants for the new cohort of Healing Anxious Attachment. Now we're going to go into some Q&A, and you can let me know if you have any questions around the program, around what we discussed today, or anything else that might be present for you relevant to this topic. Is everyone still here? Let me just drop the link in the chat for whoever wants to book a call with me. Sorry. I've opened up my schedule this month. As I said, if you book a call today, right after this webinar, you can even do it now if you want, you get the super early bird, which is $600 off. There's no strings attached to book that call. And I'm also going to pop in the chat the link to the program page if you want to take a look at the program again. But we can also discuss this during the call. So Joy has a question about anxiousness. I recently met a guy who I felt attracted to, and this is quite rare. I'm having nerves, excitement, and at the same time, I start having these fear voices in my head that he will not like me back, and I fear being rejected. How do I not have this anxiety, fear, and start acting all weird when we meet again? Okay. Does anybody else resonate with Joy's question? You can read it again in the chat. Just pop a 1 if you resonate with it. So Joy, based on what we discussed today, these fear voices that you're having, right? That's a part of you that's saying he won't like me back. I'm afraid of being rejected. He's going to reject me, right? That's a part of you. What is that part essentially trying to do? It's trying to protect you. It's trying to prevent the rejection and the abandonment. So what I would do is I would connect with that part, and maybe you even want to see it as your inner child, and just let that part know that it's safe, that you're in control, that everything's going to be all right either way, and that rejection is redirection. And yeah, so that's one way, is to connect with that part and just reintegrate it, and yeah, let it know that it's safe. Does that make sense? And realizing that you are not this part. Amazing. Does anybody else have any other questions about what we discussed, about my Healing Anxious Attachment program, my retreat in Bali? And maybe just, you can also share some feedback, what you liked about today's masterclass. That also really helps me improve. Okay. Kiara, oh, amazing. You signed up for a call. I'm really looking forward to speaking to you again. It's been so long. Have a great night. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Something that might be present for you that you might be wondering? Henry really liked the meditation, the IFS part. Great. And it was so short, right? I should facilitate a bit of a longer one next time, maybe. So you managed to go quite deep, Henry, even though it was short. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Fawn, do you have any questions? Nana, Pierre?
No, but this has been one of my favorite, I think, of your master classes. I really found it just what I needed, I think, at this time. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Fawn. Yeah, Fawn, I think, has attended most of my master classes, and I'm so incredibly grateful for your support every single time. So yeah, I'm glad that this is one of your favorites. I feel like I did think a little bit out of the box, and yeah, brought some new modalities in, new techniques, new ways of seeing relationship anxiety.
I really liked the parts work, and that I connected very quickly, even though it was short. Yeah, I definitely dove right into it, and I'll write to you later about what happened, but it was cool.
Yes, with the parts work, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and this is just like a small example of what I'm going to be covering in Healing Anxious Attachment. And so if this resonated with you, if you want to add more tools to your toolbox and really do the deep healing work to to shift these anxious attachment tendencies and become more secure, then this program is really for you. So Henry says, I worked one-on-one with you during the height of the pandemic, and isolation made a huge difference in my life to this day. Thank you. I hope to be in Bali this summer. Already bought the plane ticket. Oh, great. So should I send you more info about the retreat, Henry? Or do you have another retreat already scheduled? Okay, Joy asked me, why did you decide to do this work? I love that question. So I believe attachment is the foundation for everything that we do in life. because often the way we relate to one thing is how we relate to all things. And I have a vision where most family units are strong and healthy, because when the family nucleus is together, when they are strong together, they're resilient, they're loving, then that means we're going to have healthy children come out into the world that are going to make a beautiful impact. And it also means that, I think mental illness, physical illness, everything will be reduced. And there's research backing this up, that the people who are the happiest and the healthiest have the most connected and fulfilling relationships. And so I'm really wanting to create this domino effect in the world where people are happy and healthy. And I think it all starts from the family unit. And unfortunately, with the things in place right now, the systems in place, the way societies are built, it's almost like they're doing everything in their power to attack the family unit. And people are depressed, people are isolated, people are lonely, and there are children growing up in very dysfunctional family environments. And so, it's my vision and my goal to change this. And as I start to evolve, as well as the person I'm going to be talking about, secure parenting, I even have a dream to start shifting the schooling system, but that's another discussion. And I just want people, to feel first and foremost safe within themselves, safe at home, and be in this environment of love and oneness, because that's the revolution that we need right now. We need people to come back to a state of love and oneness, and realize that they are enough. Because with all these traumas that we're carrying, we all have our traumas, it just creates more and more separation. And that really hurts my heart and soul. And I know I'm here to, in whatever way, change that. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Joy? Okay, Henry, I'll send you the retreat information. Okay, and I'm just gonna pop the link one more time here for those of you who want to schedule a call with me. You can also schedule the call on the program page. Yeah, Henry says you're meant to facilitate healing through your work. Yes. And that's why I love really going into the deep, like the wounds, the root. I don't like surface level healing. And I don't think it's beneficial really. So yeah, for those of you that already work with me, I like to go deep and address the root cause. All right. So we're almost at time, but I can take one more question if anybody else has a question. Yeah, wonderful dream and mission in life. Thank you. All right, everyone. So is that all? Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about anything we discussed. Here is my Instagram handle as well. It's I am Cass Michael. For those of you that are not connected with me on Instagram, you can also just send me a DM if you have any questions. And if not, just use the link, book a call, and let's discuss my group program and maybe the retreat. Yeah, and I'm wishing you all a lovely evening for those in the US and a beautiful day for those in Asia. And also those of you watching the replay, don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions. Thank you all for your presence, for attending, and for taking the time to invest in yourself and do the work. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Sending you lots of love from Bali. Thanks, Mona. Bye.